Well, Minnesota House Speaker Lisa Demuth is laying out her plan to take on fraud if elected governor. Today, the Republican candidate outlined a 90-day roadmap, sharing goals that she hopes to reach her first 90 days in office if elected. Demuth pointed to her tenure as a legislator and her work to establish an Office of Inspector General office and IT systems to catch fraud in the future. She said she plans to unfreeze federal welfare benefits from the state and will hold those charged with fraud accountable. She also said today that she plans to fire all existing commissioners and deputy commissioners.
I think the staff at DHS, while there are some very good people that are working in DHS, I will tell you that their commissioner and their leadership, deputy commissioners, have failed Minnesotans by wasting taxpayer dollars over years, and that is why commissioners and deputy commissioners will be fired.
Demuth also called out Senator Klobuchar, saying, quote, as she sat idly by while the fraud crisis consumed an estimated $9 billion of taxpayer money. Well, Senator Amy Klobuchar disagrees. In fact, former U.S. Attorney Andy Lugar is coming to her defense, pointing to her role in helping federal prosecutors investigate the Feeding Our Future fraud scandal. Now, Lugar, who led the federal prosecution of the case, is now endorsing Klobuchar's campaign for governor. He says after the first Feeding Our Future indictments were announced, Klobuchar reached out to ask what prosecutors needed to continue the case. Lugar says that she then helped secure additional federal prosecutors for the investigation. Now, Lugar says Klobuchar knows how to get things done and would bring what he calls common sense solutions to Minnesota's fraud problem.